Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the first bulking and cut cycle video. This is going to be a little bit longer one because I have a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So, just to recap, a bulk is when you're in a caloric surplus, and a cut is when you're in a caloric deficit. When you're in a surplus, your body is consuming more calories than it is burning off, thus it has something to do with the extra calories, so it puts it towards your muscle. However, you are still going to put on a little bit of fat. This is why people like to do lean bulks, because then they can put on a lot of muscle without putting on too much fat. But overall, a bulk is when you are eating more than you're burning off. And a caloric deficit is when you are doing the opposite. You're burning off more than you are consuming. This way you will be getting rid of extra body fat because your body needs the extra energy, and so it'll take it off of places where it's stored. One thing I will say is you can't target burn fat. So if you are trying to get a six-pack, and genetically your body stores more fat in your lower stomach than it does on your arms might lean up a lot quicker than your lower stomach. So you're going to be looking at your arms and they're a lot leaner than your lower stomach, but truth of the matter is there's no way to say, okay, lower stomach, I'm going to burn fat right here. Your body burns an overall amount. So it's going to take a certain percentage at a time and just use it as energy. It's not going to take more from a certain place than it is another. But genetically, your body stores more fat in certain places. That's not something you can change. That's a fact. That's just genetics. So nutrition-wise, we're not going to count macros yet, but we are going to count protein. So in order to determine how much protein you need to be getting, if you are trying to cut, it needs to be 1 times your body weight. So if I'm 170 pounds, then I need to be eating 170 grams of protein each day. Now, the way that you count protein is quite simple. Get an app, get in your notes on your phone, or write it down. Every time you eat something, how much protein's in it, write it down, and keep track of that. I'm not going to keep track of carbs and fats yet. We will in the expert section, but for now, we're kind of going to get into this whole counting macros thing. We're just counting protein. So, if you are cutting 1 times your body weight for how many grams of protein you need to be eating. Now, if you're wanting to put on muscle, it needs to be 1.3 times your body weight. So if I'm 150 pounds, I'm going to be eating close to 200 grams of protein. A little bit more than 205 grams of protein for my bulk. Because the idea is the more protein to a degree, the more muscle built. Now, you can be going over on protein to where your body's not using it, but we won't really get into that too much. Just know that 1 times your body weight for a cut and 1.3 times your body weight if you're wanting to bulk. Again, if you are trying to bulk, then you need to be eating more. We're not going to count macros other than protein yet. As long as you're getting in your protein, you should be good. Eat more food, but the biggest thing is in order to get in your protein, you're going to have to eat like lean meats and stuff like that to get it in. So that'll make sure that you get the protein, and then the rest is just calories that you fill in. We won't focus on counting macros yet. If you're cutting first, you need to be getting your protein in, but still keeping your calories low. We're not going to get too specific on the tracking of that right now. However, if you're super anxious to start counting macros, then go watch the video where I explain how to count macros in the expert section, but I wouldn't really recommend it just because it's overwhelming, okay? If you're not pretty savvy in the fitness area, it's overwhelming to count macros right away. So for now, just count your proteins. So if you're wanting to bulk first or if you're wanting to cut first, in this intermediate section, we are going to, I recommend that you do one of each. So I recommend that you get a good 4 to 5 month bulk in, and then a good 2 to 3 month cut in before you move on to the expert section. But and again, a bulk you're wanting to do 6 to 8 reps for 4 sets, and a cut you're wanting to do 10 to 12 to 15 reps for 4 sets. So be intentional with whatever you're doing. Cut for 12 weeks tops, like I said, and then bulk as long as you feel necessary. If you want to bulk for longer than 4 to 5 months, you can bulk for 12 months, you can bulk for 2 years if you like. But I will say that the longer you're bulking, the more fat you're going to put on, so it's nice to kind of switch it up and then get a good cut in before you before you bulk again. If you are cutting and 12 weeks isn't long enough to get to you to a lower body fat percentage to where you feel satisfied with it, then go for 12 weeks, take a diet break. A diet break is a week long where we don't worry about hitting protein and we don't worry about the food that we're eating, we just eat whatever. I will say this will set you back a little bit, but we don't want you to get, because when you start to get to a lower body fat percentage, your hormone levels change, you start to get moody and angry and stuff like that. So if you're getting low enough, we don't want you to have to keep pushing it too much. So this is why I say don't cut for longer than 12 weeks, unless if you are super overweight when you started this program and now you feel like you have a long way to go to get the fat off. Okay, so in fitness, it's essential to have goals. What weight do you want to be at before you start your cut? Try to get to that weight and before you cut if you need to. And then this can be like long-term goal. Someday I want to be 185 pounds and less than 10% body fat. Or someday I want to be, 160 pounds shredded with abs and veins everywhere. Make them realistic and make them like super defined so that you know that it can be done. The best way to get abs is by doing a bulking and cutting cycle. If you try to just go get abs now when you're starting out, it's going to be hard just because you have to have the actual muscle build up as well as being a low enough percentage body fat. So everyone has abs, but if your abs are too small to really see, then when you go to cut, you're gonna have to get a super low percent body fat before you can actually see your abs. So that's gonna end the video. Basically just wanted to explain a little bit about how you need to start determining whether you're gonna start off with a bulk or a cut cycle. I'd say if you're like 25% body fat plus, if you're in the 20 to 25% body fat, then you should probably start out cutting. But if you're anything underneath that, I would recommend that you start off with a bulk, be in a caloric surplus. Again, 1.3 times your body weight for that protein number if you are wanting to bulk, and then 1 times your body weight for the protein number if you're wanting to cut.